Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report for Thursday, September 22nd. In our top story, with Barbados having recorded 62 COVID-related deaths up to yesterday, the issue of how their bodies are dealt with locally has been prompted. Only this week, Grenada mandated that COVID-19 corpses not be embalmed, that only 2 family members can identify the body, and the casket has to be sealed after identification. To help us discuss how Barbados manages its dead who succumb to COVID-19 is funeral director at Lyndhurst Funeral Home, the loan company which handles the transfer of bodies from Harrison's Point. Good morning to you and welcome, Mr. Griffith.
Good morning.
While the subject of death is not one many of us like to talk about, some have wondered, and I'm among them, how does Barbados deal with the bodies of those who succumb to COVID-19?
Well, we work with caution. We monitor what has been happening with our counterparts in various parts of the world. We're guided by the British Institute of Embalmers, we're guided by CDC, and also by our health department. In Barbados, when we started, it was similar to what Grenada is currently doing. However, we've gone past that stage. At this time now, some bodies are being embalmed, and visitation is allowed with some restrictions. You would appreciate that an embalmed body is rendered sterile. We recognize that the virus must have a living host to survive. And similar to that of the AIDS virus, 48 hours is usually the period of time we give for the virus to actually die. In case of COVID-19, we are allocating 72 hours. This gives us the opportunity to be able to embalm the bodies when necessary.
Okay.
Embalming is required for shipping of bodies.
Okay. Outside of that timeline, what additional preparation is actually done with the body as compared to someone you would deal with if they died of cancer or natural causes? Is there anything major that's done differently?
Yes, we dress in full PPE suits and for protective measures. The body itself is sanitized and in a slightly different way. We do use a bleach solution which would kill any surface viruses on the body before we actually start the work. Respiratory tracts are covered to ensure that any air escape is captured. So therefore we would use a mask on the body while we're working. This simplifies things.
So why then would Grenada ought to be using the method they're using? Because, I mean, COVID is COVID.
Well, I think that Grenada has had a very serious outbreak in the last few weeks, and I think they're in a state of panic, so to speak. I understand that we have to prepare ourselves for these things mentally as well. So, you know, some people may not be able to get staff to work for them in this manner, and then again, the government itself might not have the answer that they probably need.
Okay, my final question to you. If we're looking at individuals with, say, particular burial rites, like say within the Muslim community, what then is the protocol for dealing with some person like that who may have passed of COVID without countering the other measures that you have in place for dealing with it? Because I think that 72-hour window is a little longer than what they use.
They have to actually, they will apply what Grenada is doing. We will do that here too. Because you would not allow family members to come into contact with deceased COVID under 72 hours. And also, you must remember that the actually handling of the body should be handled by a professional. Sometimes the Muslim community like to get involved themselves. And in cases of COVID, I would not recommend that.
Okay, but you said that the virus needs a living host. We're dealing with a corpse. So why is the additional precaution taken?
We've been taking precautions since the 1980s in cases of AIDS. We have just extended that now on beyond that because out of an abundance of caution. We want to make sure that there is actually no viruses left. Surfaces, for example, before and after is properly clean, but it must be sanitized.
Okay. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Griffith. It's been a pleasure having you here on Morning Report. The CBC Morning Report updates you on the COVID-19 pandemic next. Head of Isolation Facilities, Dr. Corey Ford, has again painted a dire picture of the COVID-19 situation in Barbados. The picture was painted in context of if Barbadians do not do a far better job of following the protocols and also of getting vaccinated. Dr. Ford was speaking to National COVID-19 Public Advisor David Ellis during a live broadcast at the Harrison's Point facility.
We keep on this trajectory, I am telling you. I'm going to say, and it's hard for me to say as a physician, my job is to save lives. But I can't guarantee that I can save every single Barbadian in this country who gets ill. Right? I can't guarantee that we will have enough ventilators if we continue on this trajectory like this to save every single person in this country. Because no country in the globe has done that. They have all ended up in issues with ventilators and oxygen. And we have all of these lovely things. But how well we do will depend on what I've said a million times over. For people standing up, young people, I am begging you today on live TV not to play Russian roulette with your lives.
Noting the island could potentially find itself in a situation where the healthcare system could be overwhelmed by unvaccinated patients and possibly reach up to 500 cases a day in a worst-case scenario, he also had a message for those who remain vaccine hesitant.
You don't know or you're uncertain, right, about what will happen about vaccines. I had my queries too, right? But what I can tell you is if you get ill with COVID, right, basically what you're doing, one or two things can happen. You can go fine or things might go badly. And I, as a doctor, I cannot predict which one of these would be you. So I'm asking you today, I'm pleading with you on national TV, on live, wherever this goes, to repeat it over and over to every single person in your household, to your own granny in your household today. I'm asking you on behalf of the staff here, who are basically out to all. We're out to all, right? I'm pleading with you today, right? Not only based on the numbers today, but based on what we're saying right over here in this building. I'm pleading with you. Yeah, primary isolation. I'm pleading with you. We are of horrible state in this country, potentially, and it's up to you to make the difference.
Dr. Ford also took particular issue with messages circulating on social media that have been critical of their staff at the Harrison Point facility. He said the comments are hurtful, especially since many are currently working overtime, including double shifts. Dr. Ford contended that the level of care being offered is on par with any of the best facilities in the world, and perhaps even better in some cases. Barbados has recorded 3 more COVID-19 related deaths. Those 3 deaths announced by Ms. Bradshaw take the toll to 62. In addition, there have been 168 new cases of COVID-19 detected from 1,628 tests conducted on Tuesday. 33 of the 168 are under the age of 18. There are now 881 people in isolation. The new government of the Bahamas intends to activate its plan to offer free COVID-19 testing throughout the country. Free testing was among the top promises made during the election campaign.
I do not want to preempt anything because I have to speak with the representatives at the Ministry of Health, the PHA, all of our nurses and doctors. This is a national partnership. This is not a one-man show. We definitely need to get everyone involved. We need to get all hands on deck so that we can get this pandemic under control and begin to get our economy up and going to the point that Bahamians can get back to work.
Darville was sworn in as minister on Monday afternoon after the PLP defeated the FNM at the polls last Thursday. He is the 4th Minister of Health since the Bahamas confirmed its first COVID case in March 2020. He takes up the post at the Ministry of Health as the country battles its worst surge in COVID-19 cases, deaths, and hospitalizations since the start of the pandemic. When asked what his first order of business as minister will be, Darville said,
COVID is real, and the challenges we face in our country are very severe. We're once again speaking to the general population to please wear your mask, and it's important to social distance and to limit the gatherings.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has updated the nation on the government's efforts to vaccinate healthcare workers against COVID-19.
At Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, the doctors, 90% have been vaccinated. And I'd really like to see the other 10%. So we have complete vaccination down there. The community nursing, that's the nursing in the clinics, 55% are vaccinated. And in the hospital services, 42.6% are vaccinated. I say less than half. And of the 13 district medical officers, only 3 are vaccinated. Well, that's 23%. I don't understand how a doctor could be a district medical officer not taking the vaccine.
Amnesty International is charging that 6 top manufacturers of the COVID-19 vaccine are fueling an unprecedented human rights crisis through their refusal to waive intellectual property rights and share the vaccine technology.
A report by Amnesty International shows under 1% of people in low-income countries are fully vaccinated. In developed countries, is 55%. Amnesty says the 6 companies that have led the vaccine rollout have put profits before lives, specifically by refusing to waive intellectual property rights to low-income nations. The report shows Pfizer and BioNTech have delivered 9 times more vaccines to Sweden than to all low-income countries combined, and Moderna has not yet delivered a single vaccine dose to a low-income country. Well, Mark van Ranst is a professor at the University of Leuven and the Riga Institute for Medical Research. He says common ground is needed to help poor nations in their fights against the pandemic.
First of all, we have to agree that this is the biggest vaccination program ever in the history of mankind. 6 billion doses have been administered already in a time span of less than a year. Already 44% of the population have received one vaccine. But the differences between the continents and between high-income and low-income countries are extremely important. I think the high-income countries have lobbied extremely diligently, to say it lightly, with the vaccine companies to just, well, basically sell the first batches of vaccines, the first billions of batches to them. They bought more than they can ever administer. So there is a big disparity there and a common responsibility of the governments around the world and the vaccine manufacturers. These politicians, they are concerned with the voters that vote them in power. So that's going to be extremely difficult. I think the WHO, the World Health Organization, has said it very clearly. Think very hard about how ethically it is to start talking about third doses, booster doses, vaccinating children, when, for example, in low-income countries, only 2% of the population has even received one dose.
President Joe Biden has announced that the United States will double its purchase of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccines to send to other countries, bringing the pledge to donations to a total of 1.1 billion doses. Speaking at a virtual international summit on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly yesterday, President Biden described the ramping up as the vaccine donations as a historic commitment.
The United States is buying another 500 million doses of Pfizer to donate to low and middle income countries around the world. This is another 500 million doses that will all be shipped by this time next year. As we're doing that, we need other high income countries to deliver on their own ambitious vaccine donations and pledges. That's why today we're launching the EU-US vaccine partnership to work more closely together and with our partners and expanding global vaccinations.
That summit was convened by President Biden, virtual, as you say, with a number of world leaders taking part. President Biden saying that this is part of an attempt to supercharge the distribution of vaccines around the world. He said that the U.S. has already donated 160 million doses of vaccine to 100 countries, arguing that this is more than all the other donor companies combined. But he goes even further. He announced that the U.S. has bought another 500 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine, which will be distributed in coming months. All in all, he says that the U.S. would have bought more than 1 billion doses of vaccine by this time next year. This, he says, is the equivalent of 3 doses of vaccine around the world for every dose of vaccine administered in the United States. So President Biden consciously attempting to display that the U.S. is fighting in every way it can against vaccine inequality in the distribution of vaccines, which the Secretary General has described as obscene.
Time for a preview of what's coming up on Morning Barbados. And for that, we say good morning to Pearson Boone.
Good morning to you, Wendy. Good morning, everyone. When you join me here this Thursday morning, you know it's time for us to celebrate exceptional young people. There's a young woman who you'll meet who looked over the hill behind her house, saw the need to join the reforestation project. And why? But she's much more than that. She's also a sustainable energy specialist. She's from Trinidad. She'll join us this morning to talk about her journey as a hay ambassador. We'll also meet a Barbadian woman who has a passion for pasta, and that passion has led her to open her own business We'll talk about her journey too. And we'll meet some more outstanding Chevening Scholarship awardees from across the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, St. Lucia, Grenada, all joining me right here on Morning Barbados. Don't miss it at 6:30. For that, it's back to you, Wendy.
Thank you, Pearson. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour. We'll take another break and return with more news. There's been a slowing in the pace of donations to the National Vaccine Fund. That's from Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn. The fund was launched in March this year and within a week had amassed $7 million in donations. Back in July, Minister Strawn revealed it had passed the $10 million mark. He provided a further update yesterday.
Just north of 10.6 million is what was raised, the last amount that they had. When we last spoke, 10.9 million has been collected so far in the vaccine fund, 7.4 million has been transferred to the Treasury. So things have slowed down.
Strawn was speaking as he accepted a $20,000 donation to the fund from Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. General Manager Anton Lovell says the company is happy to contribute to the fund.
The country is in perilous times under the strain of this COVID-19 virus. And as a responsible corporate citizen, Cooperators General is not a company which sits on the fence. As you know, Minister, Cooperators General is owned by the local credit union movement, in other words, owned by Barbadians. So naturally, with this donation, we are supporting our own.
Police have made a breakthrough in their investigation into the murder of 20-year-old Shay Hackett of Dunlow Lane, St. Michael. The incident occurred on September 6 this year at the St. Paul's Avenue, Bayville. Two men have been charged with the murder. They are 43-year-old Adrian Ryan Jones of number 53B Enterprise Gardens, Christchurch, and 31-year-old Jamal Omar Anthony Maynard of number 21 St. Paul's Avenue, Bayville, St. Michael. The two men are expected to appear in the District A Magistrates Court today. Former Attorney General Samarès King has passed away. Samarès, a former Democratic Labour Party parliamentary representative for Christchurch West Central, died on Tuesday at the age of 85. He was afforded the country's highest honour on the 43rd anniversary of independence in 2009. More recently, Samarès was honoured in May 2018 when the Bar Hall recreational facility was renamed the Maurice King Sports Complex. Among those paying tribute is DLP stalwart and trade unionist Robert Bobby Morris. Along with being a wonderful and honest man, Mr. Morris says as the attorney-at-law for the Barbados Workers' Union, Samarès was also very well regarded by Sir Frank Walker.
Remember, we had a case where a number of people from a supermarket were made redundant because they joined the union, and he took the case for us. And that is the first time I learned about the stake action doctrine, because we thought at the time that the workers would have been protected by Constitution, but he told us, no, be very careful about that one, because that would be only for members of the civil service would be protected in that sense, but not in the private sector. So he was a teacher to us in terms of industrial relations and in terms of labor law. In addition to that, he was a senior politician when I came to political part of my life, and I became a member of parliament in 1986. He was the senior person. And when he demitted office in 1994, I became the senior person, and I know how much we could depend on Morris King for any advice or any assistance that he could give.
In Jamaica, police have detained several members of the small opposition United Independent Congress who took to the streets yesterday protesting against mandatory vaccination as the country seeks to curb the spread of COVID-19. Police clashed with protesters as they marched from St. William Grant Park to Gordon House, the Jamaica Parliament in the capital. Police had warned against staging any illegal march in the capital, stating categorically that they were not in receipt of any applications to hold any marches across the island. Police had therefore advised members of the public against participating in what they said would have been an illegal march. Thousands of people in the Canary Islands have now been told to evacuate as volcanic activity goes into a fifth day.
So far destroyed more than 300 buildings. The lava is moving towards the west coast of the island and is expected to cause more destruction on its way, as well as releasing toxic gas. Nicholas Huck is there.
Just on my right, there has been evacuations in the village of San Nicolau, where people are just told to just leave as quickly as possible. You can see so that this area around the crater is actually, of security, is actually growing. So there's more and more people displaced. However, there has been in some areas, the Spanish authorities allowing the people there or civilians to go back to their homes just for the space of 20 minutes to half an hour or even an hour to just get their basic necessities. Because we've seen people sleeping rough, people sleeping in their homes. Imagine how they had to leave their homes from a minute to the other, feeling the earth shake beneath the surface. Many people that I spoke to here said that they weren't even warned that this was going to happen. Now, I spoke to the chief volcano expert for the region here. He said that he's been observing since October 17th signs that there would be this eruption. He described it as a telegram sent from the center of the earth with the release of a gas suggesting that there would be this eruption. But there's so much that they do not know. They don't know how much lava there is beneath the mantle of the earth that's still spewing out, and they don't know how long it will last. From past experiences, and there's been three eruptions in the last 100 years, it could last from 25 days to 88 days, or it could last even longer.
In sports, the Pakistan Information Minister says there's a conspiracy to prevent his country from hosting international cricket tours, and this includes the scheduled West Indies tour in December. The minister charges that a fake security threat originating out of India is the reason why New Zealand and England have already cancelled their tours, and a similar threat has been sent to Cricket West Indies.
The minister says a menacing email is the reason the Kiwi team decided to abandon their tour of Pakistan last week. Fawad Chaudhry claims the email was generated from India through a VPN showing the location of Singapore, and he disclosed the content of the threat.
Dear New Zealand cricket, you did wrong to go to Pakistan, and now see what will happen, what happens to you. Your cricket team is not going anywhere now. In every place, the bomb will be placed from hotel to your flight, and my men will not forgive you.
New Zealand's withdrawal dealt a massive blow to Pakistan's hopes of staging regular international cricket, with England subsequently calling off their men's and women's tours. The information minister claims the West Indies team due to arrive in December has also been sent a threat that he said was fake.
And it's time now to find out what the picture of weather will be today. In Barbados right now, it's fair at 24.4 degrees Celsius, but it feels like 31. The humidity, 87. Barometric pressure, 1011.6 millibars. The winds from the south at 40 kilometers per hour. The tides. Low tide will be at 10:50 a.m. and again at 11:26 p.m. High tide will be at 5:15 p.m. If you're planning to go to the sea, it will be smooth to moderate in open water. ranging from 1 to 1.5 meters and increasing. It will be partly sunny with a few brief isolated light showers. Tonight, a mix of clear skies with cloudy periods with a few brief scattered light showers. And here's now for a look at our international cities. That was today's morning report. Our next newscast on TV8 will be Newsday at noon. We now join Pearson for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today, Thursday, the 23rd of September, 2021. I am Pearson Bowen, welcoming all of you watching us from right here in beautiful Barbados. Grateful for your company, and anyone, anywhere across the world watching us via our YouTube channel or our Facebook streams. Thank you for joining us today, Exceptional Youth Thursday. And sometimes our exceptional youth come from among the deaf community. And so this week we're acknowledging, we're recognizing, and we're supporting the effort in International Week of Deaf People, but reminding you why they sign. Well, they have a right. It's a human right. Communication. Lack of access to communication, education, employment, and equal pay result in no right of choice or chance for equitable opportunity for the deaf. The deaf have a right to a decent quality of life. That's a reminder to you today that the lack of access to communication, education, employment, and equal pay results in a no right of choice or chance or equitable opportunity for the deaf. The deaf have a right to a decent quality of life. Let's absorb that today. Let's make that a part of our mantra that we will today, from today, allow greater access to communication with deaf people and greater opportunity as well. But it's Exceptional Thursday, and so we want to start with this young lady who hails from the beautiful island and the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. Her name is Chandelle O'Neill. She's a Hay ambassador. Good morning to you, Chandelle.
Good morning, Mr. Pearson.
Thank you for joining us this morning. I read your story and it says, one day you looked over the hill behind your house and you saw a need to join and to volunteer as part of a reforestation project. Tell me about what's happening and why you saw that urgent need to join forces with those who are reforesting in Trinidad.
Well, in 2014, Trinidad and Tobago had some bushfires and I was impacted. My house, my family house got impacted. Like, it got close enough to burn parts of the roof. And luckily, some of my neighbors were around, so they came and they cut down some trees. They cut a fire trail, they went down the roof to the house and actually burned down, but it was a problem. A lot of smoke came into the house. And after that, when I came back home, like, I was away at university at the time, I figured, yo, if you can do that for me, I can do that for you. So I started volunteering at the Funds of Anti-Forestation project over the hill behind my house now, because, like, doggy, you're skin in the game. So
yes.
Yeah.
But you have a passion for the environment for quite some time now, and so much so that you've become a sustainable energy specialist while also being a human rights advocate. Where did all this passion for this kind of work come from?
It's my life. I went to university, I studied mechanical engineering, and I focused on sustainable energy systems design because I know Trinidad and Tobago is an oil and gas country. So figured try to be doing some good, come back home. Even though I'm not trying to bad talk, we're not there yet with sustainable energy, but we are trying. And human rights advocate, well, I'm openly queer, so and Trinidad and Tobago is also in the process of trying to get better around these kind of things. So, hey, when you have skin in the game, you might as well be out on the front line.
Indeed so, and you've joined the front line ever since then. You're now a Hay ambassador. But one of the things I've also noted is that you were a Young Caribbean Water Entrepreneurs Shark Tank competition finalist. I'm so curious about your pitch in that Shark Tank. Tell me what it was that you were pitching and talk to me a little bit about what the sharks said to you in response.
For that competition, I remember I put in an accessible off-grid indigenous community. Accessible because accessibility matters. I figured one of the issues is just like dimensions for those, or just the way we design buildings might not be the most convenient for people who are differently able. So start right there, off-grid, because I like living in the bush. I like living green lifestyle and disaster resilient because, well, with climate change, the weather is getting really, really bad. So we have to make things stronger. We have to build to a certain standard and try harder. So, hey, that was it. And I remember the sharks told me one of the things was I talked too fast. I kind of went off topic. I was really, really nervous, kind of like right now. But it was all right. It was fun. It was a good experience.
It was fun. It was a good experience. You speak too fast, they tell you. All right, that's okay. I mean, I'm hearing you and I'm slowing it down so that I also get to understand it. Now, but you volunteered now as a Hay ambassador, all part of the healthy and environmentally friendly youth campaign. What does it mean to you, and what are the messages that you really want to resonate among young people, particularly of the Caribbean, as a Hay ambassador, so that we effect change as it relates to climate?
I would like to remember, like, Hay is healthy and environmentally friendly youth. A lot of Caribbean nuances is giving rise to like seniority and be respecting authority. But youth, we have to step up. We have to be more empowered. And while institutions and certain barriers might hold us back sometimes, we have to be able to take power, like advocate for ourselves, step up for ourselves, even if it's not like, even if government or bigger institutions will tell us to stop. So I just want youth to understand that, like, we can do more than we can. We may not have the money, we may not have the access, but we do have the energy and we have the passion and we have the time. So that's what we can do.
You know, I'm looking at some of the images there. You do such voluntary work, though. I mean, do you really find the time in all of this, Chandelle?
How do I find the time? I make the time for what's important. I won't say luckily, but with COVID, a lot of interactions with people have gone online, and I have a really good internet connection. So long as I can plan my life out well, I can get things done. And trust, like I would say, studying engineering in university, that was the busiest I'd ever been in my life. That was going to classes 8 to 5 straight wholly, and then having to spend like all nights in computer lab. So this is not even the busiest I've ever been. So I'm not. You ask me where I find the time. This is not even the busiest I've ever been.
The degree that you studied was, you have a bachelor's of engineering in mechanical engineering with a distinction, congratulations, specializing in sustainable energy systems, designed and worked in process engineering for waste reduction, which is a big topic across the region for sure, and improving efficiencies in large international companies like Johnson & Johnson. What was that experience like for you?
It was a really good experience. Like, I really enjoyed the work. The only reason I came back was money contributing factors, but I really don't like the cold. I don't like winter. I'm an island person at heart, so I couldn't do it. Like, it wasn't any problem. Like, when I was working there, they were like, if you want to come back after graduation, you can come back. It's just, I don't like the cold. So that's where I had to come back and try a thing.
You know, there are lots of young people today watching and listening to you, and they're thinking, you know, I'm so moved by what you're saying, but I'm confused as to what I want to do. How did you settle upon what you're doing, and what were the techniques that you would like to share with other young people so they can make a decision pretty early that they will engage in whatever it is that they decide in this way?
I think it comes with like knowing yourself and knowing your strengths. For me personally, always was good with like math and science, so wasn't trying to do any English, any trying to communications. So like engineering and all that kind of stuff. The only reason I didn't do medicine is because it's too icky, and engineering, I wanted to work with machines and robots, and I got to do that. So it just kind of knowing my passions and strengths, and it just kind of led me to this path where I kind of live a life where I know I chose everything I wanted to do, and I have no regrets, and I like what I know.
Start with the things that you're most passionate about and build from there. So as a Hay ambassador now, you get to interact with so many other young people from across the globe. I mean, from everywhere. And that's a beautiful thing about the Hay campaign as well. You're bringing together young minds from across the world, cross-fertilizing ideas and thoughts and plans. So talk to me a little bit about that, and what are some of the discussion points when you guys come together?
Time zones. If you're talking to youth around the world, the biggest issue you have sometimes is just time zones, so coordinating everyone. But you find that young people generally have the same concerns. We want to be able to have you want to live a good life. Some people are fighting bigger battles and bigger struggles in the country, but everybody wants the same thing: life, love, chance to, just do some good and opportunity. So you find common ground, you find different understanding. Like I have a friend Charles from Brazil, like he learned English listening to Screamo in the favelas. I'm like, dog, you tell me that kind of thing, you my friend for life. Like that's a champion.
So you've made friends for life from this experience as well. But there's so, as you said, there's so many similarities, and it's just, isn't that just uncanny how it is that you are in Trinidad and Tobago, there's somebody in Brazil, somebody in Ecuador, somebody somewhere who's going through the very same thing. What does that reality say to you about the life experience?
I say I guess it's not that unique, but it's also very comforting to know you're not alone. It builds a community. Sometimes it builds a really strong community because you just find some things in society always hold true, even if you don't speak the same language. Like I speak Spanglish, and you figure out how to communicate with people with your hands, all kind of way. You just understand nuances of speech when people are speaking, and you come to realize it's not it's a big world, but it's not that big. And with internet and good connection and access to electricity and all these kind of things, we are connecting all around the world.
Indeed. This is International Week of Deaf People. In volunteering in Trinidad and Tobago, how inclusive is your work for those who are deaf?
I would say, well, I volunteer with Ties for Sex and Gender Justice, and right now we have a program where we're teaching, frontline workers sign language so they can communicate better. So it's making progress, but there are still some negative connotations in society, and still sometimes people leave people behind, honestly. But I would say the marginalized communities, the ones who struggle the most, are trying to get, because we all understand the struggle.
If you could stop and just have an ear in Prime Minister Rowley, have a chance to talk into his ears, Prime Minister Rowley, to say, listen, let me try to change this or that. What would this or that be that you would want to discuss with the Prime Minister?
That's a big question. I didn't see that one coming. What would I ask my Prime Minister? Oh, we have to have some serious conversations about my rights, because straight up, like I'm a queer and I don't necessarily have all the right protections I'm supposed to have, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I understand that the society I live in is very much homophobic and transphobic. So we can talk about my rights, and I understand also it depends on the people, but government drives policy and government's supposed to move. So let's talk about my rights, because I'm a human. I came back here trying to do some good, but somehow my country doesn't want me to. So we can talk about that, but probably off camera.
That probably off camera for real. But there are young people today, though, who want to make the change, who want to be able to hear your voice. And so the Hey campaign really lends you the platform to be able to sound your thoughts and to sound your activism as well. So I want you to tease now some young people watching who do not yet know what the Hey campaign is about, and tell them about the value of being a part of that campaign.
It's really cool. We get to meet a lot of experts and access to people we not necessarily meet to, like UNDP, UNEP. It's just a lot of you get more access to better information. It's a really cool opportunity. I get to meet cool people, network, all that kind of general stuff, and making friends around the Caribbean region, and trying to hopefully build up the Caribbean name, because also in a lot of activism and a lot of global work, the Caribbean just kind of gets forgotten sometimes.
It's a great opportunity indeed. That's one big takeaway. Chandelle O'Neill from Trinidad and Tobago, you are for us here in Barbados and across the region an exceptional young person doing what you do as a sustainable energy specialist, but most of all, a human rights advocate. We want to encourage you to continue with the passion that you have, doing what you're doing, and something tells us your name is going to be sounded across the world soon because of the energy you're already exuding. So thank you, Chandelle, for joining us this morning. We want to wish you a great day. Thank you.
Thank you for a lovely conversation.
You're very welcome. Morning Barbados will continue with more exceptional young people right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So let's call it 14 minutes now to go to the hour of 7 o'clock. This exceptional Youth Thursday here on Morning Barbados. Our next guest is what I can't wait to talk to. Her name is Asha Prescott. Asha, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. You're the pasta woman.
Yes.
Listen, I just love the fact that you love pasta. Talk to me about this love of pasta.
Well, pasta is one of the first things that I actually mastered cooking growing up. Any kind of pasta, any kind of pasta you can get me to try, you can get me to eat, you can get me to cook. I just love pasta.
You know, there's somebody who's watching and say, but that's easy to do. Pasta, just put it in water, let it boil, let it soften, and you're good to go. Add whatever you want to add to it. Some people would, but it's not as simple as that, is it?
No, the secret is actually in the sauce.
Oh, really?
Not the pasta, yeah.
Oh, so you're teaching me because I don't know how to do it. I'll be honest with you, hands up in the air, I don't have a clue. So the secret is in the sauce. And you stumbled across that because?
Because like you said, pasta is basically easy to cook. Boil the water, add salt, cook it, and you have pasta. But the sauce, to me, is where holds all the flavor. Yeah.
The sauce. So you gotta get the right sauce. It's all in the sauce.
Yes, please.
So there you are, a student of the Garrison School. I mean, the name has now changed to Graydon Sealy, I know, but you were a Garrison girl. And while at Garrison, you had a love for food and nutrition.
Yes, I did.
What started you going?
Like I said, watching my granny growing up, when all of my cousins were outside playing, you could find me up in the kitchen behind my grandmother. I always had an addiction to the kitchen.
Yes.
Could not get me to keep out of the kitchen, no matter what. So going into school, we got to do food and nutrition from third form going up. That's one of the classes I always had my undivided attention, food and nutrition. If we had practicals for 8 o'clock, 7:30, Asha was at the food and nutrition door waiting. I always loved it.
But you know, there's nothing like Granny's cooking. Absolutely nothing. So what were some of the tips that your grandmother taught you while you were onto her coattail, you know, watching her cook and prepare? What did she say?
Well, she was just like, she would always show me what to do. You know, grannies don't already go by recipes.
Nope.
So she was like, season this to taste. If you want more this, put in this. If you want more that, put in that. It was just like, I can't really explain it, but she taught me well.
Is she still around?
No, please, she isn't.
If she was around, what would you say to her today?
I would tell her thank you so much for always showing me and teaching me and guiding me in the kitchen. And I know my grandmother would be very, very proud of me because I always used to say, Granny, you know, one day I get own my own restaurant.
Yes.
And I want you working in my restaurant, so yeah.
And somehow she's still by your side every step of the way because you've opened your own business. So tell me, what's the name of the business and tell me why you chose to open your own business.
The name of my business is Pasta Delight. I was working in the hotel industry and I had 2 staunch off days, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So I was like, I like pasta, you know, like I actually cut pasta at work at time for the rest of those days. Actually, this tastes really good, you should sell this. I was like, that's not a bad idea. And it was just something that was a hobby and it just evolved into a business.
Wow. So you turned your hobby into a business. But you know, you could have kept it as a hobby and just serve those who live next door perhaps or a few friends. But you decided to broaden the whole thing now and really go after it in a real serious business way. So where did this ability to adopt the right business attitude come from? Who helped you?
I would say I actually did a course with Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of helped me to open my eyes more into being an entrepreneur. I always wanted to own my own restaurant, yes, but you know, I was not really serious at the beginning until now. And COVID also played a really big part in my decision of owning my own business.
How so?
Because I was working in the hotel industry and we were all laid off in 2019. So I was always doing my pasta on my off days. But through COVID and being home, helped me to expand the business more, dabble into more things, because now I do quesadillas as well. I do natural juices, and I also do boosters. And I just started with doing pasta dishes.
You just started, and now you've broadened into all of that. Would you want to go back into the hotel industry or work for anybody else, or you so much enjoy working for yourself?
No, please. I enjoy working for myself.
You control the money, you control your time, you control
Yes,
everything, right? You don't have to take orders from anybody.
It's not always easy, but
yeah. So tell us about some of the challenges that you've been able to overcome and how you overcame those challenges.
One of my biggest challenges, I would say, is probably time management and money management. That's very important, because it's important for you to be able to save, especially as someone working for yourself. You know, you have to put, your granny always used to tell you have to put on for a rainy day.
Right.
So yeah, I really had to, buckle down in terms of saving, managing my time wisely, utilizing my resources, and just keeping focused on my business.
Was it a difficult shift in your mindset for you?
It was at first, because you're accustomed waking up, going work for somebody for 6, finishing at 3, you will go work, do your work, talk to your friends, you will even like a little, but you can't do that with your own business.
It's so long time.
Yeah, you can't do that with your own business. You have to remain focused and keep on the ball at all times.
So, in terms of marketing and getting your name out there so that people know who you are and what to represent, I mean, you're wearing it right there boldly on your shirt.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about that and how you were able to position yourself, because there are other people who do pasta, but yours is different.
Yeah. I would say my friends and family have a lot to do with it, in terms of, because when I made my Instagram page, I had posted on my WhatsApp, and then all of my friends started to post it. I also have a Twitter. Twitter is a very wide network.
Yes.
So I also have a Twitter, a personal Twitter, and also my business Twitter. So all of that had helped to promote my business and get it up and out there. And also I do good food, so
I'm watching your Instagram page right now, and listen, it is early in the morning, but Lord have mercy, it looks so delicious. Tell me about the quesadillas. Quesadillas, a lot of people don't necessarily know what those are. So could you explain to them what those are?
Yes, quesadilla is similar to a taco.
Okay.
But instead of, you have the hard tacos and the soft tacos, you actually toast the quesadilla lightly, so you can fill it with, for me, I have chicken quesadillas, tuna, and shrimp. My chicken is a favorite. So I use chicken breast. I saute onions, caramelized onions.
Right.
And I use the chicken breast and the barbecue chicken and cheese. And then I toast it on both sides and cut it in. For people love that. That's a favorite.
Stop. Oh my goodness. I have to sit here for another hour and a bit while you catch my taste buds. So here it is, you operate Pasta Delight. That's the name of the game for you, Pasta Delight. Do you operate from home? Do you have a space where people can come and just
I operate from home, and I am currently working on a space so that I will be able to expand even more.
Right. And how have sales been thus far for you, though?
Sales have been good. Some weeks are better than some, but it's good for the most part.
Do you do delivery?
Yes, please, I do deliveries.
People, she does delivery. So for you who's watching and you're thinking, I want to try that. She does delivery. So let your taste buds be amazed with Pasta Delight. So tell people how to contact you, how they can get to sample, how they can get to enjoy Pasta Delight from you, Asha.
You can check me out on Instagram at pasta_delight. That's also my Twitter handle. And you can message me or WhatsApp me at 823-2402.
823-2402.
Yes, please.
You do? Yes, she does delivery. And 823-2402.
Yes, please.
I got it. Trust me, I got it. Number right here. Pasta Delight is her game. So I should give some advice to young people today watching who are thinking, I really want to try my own thing. I have a passion. Granny shows me too. I know how to, but they don't know where next to. What can you say to them?
My advice would be to just stop procrastinating. Don't doubt yourself. Don't say, man, my business ain't gonna make it. You never know till you try. Just try it. Make sure you talk to someone. You could talk to someone who's actually successful in running their own business to get a few pointers, I just go for it. You won't regret it. Trust me. You'll be tired, but you won't regret it.
You'll be tired, but you won't regret
But you won't regret it.
So for those at school with you at the Garrison at the time, you know, sitting in class with you, watching you on TV right now, you're saying, wait, you know, she was always like that. Is that what they would say, or would they say something different?
They would say, Asha always used to only pay attention in food and nutrition. You know?
So how was that? How was that as a discussion point at home? You know, mommy sent you to school to do well, to do everything.
Yeah.
But you only paid attention in food and nutrition.
But my mom kind of always knew that I would end up in the kitchen. Even if it was working in someone's kitchen or working for myself. That's one place you can, she does even tell me all the time, you can really put your bed in the kitchen because you're always in the kitchen.
That's a mother for you. You can put your bed in the kitchen.
But a lot of my classmates support me too. A lot of them buy food from me, you know. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Asha, you have the right attitude. I am. You know Sam? Do you know Sam? Samuel?
Sam?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Samuel Mason.
You know that I was saying his voice sounds familiar.
It is him. It is the very one, and he's one of your customers, so he knows exactly what it is that you offer, and he's there echoing in our ears, telling us, "Yeah, we gotta try it. We gotta try it, indeed. It tastes good." He just said, you know, Pasta Delight. You need to try out Asha Prescott's Pasta Delight today. 823-2402, 823-2402, or there it is on her page, or on social. She's Pasta_Delight, Pasta_Delight on Facebook and on Instagram. And call her today. Place your order for pasta, quesadillas, natural juices, boosters. Talk to her about it. She'll share it with you. Asha,
like your taste must be amazed.
Yeah, your taste must be amazed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You know, we brought you here because for us, you're one of our exceptional young people doing very, very well. And we want to support you in your effort as well. So all the best going forward, okay?
Thank you so much, person.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Got you good now, right? Morning Barbados will continue right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Still to come, you'll meet some Chevening scholars from St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines straight ahead on Morning Barbados. But it's time for us to turn our attention to the news. And for that, here's Wendy Burke.
Thank you, Pearson. The head of isolation facilities, Dr. Corey Ford, has again painted a dire picture of the COVID-19 situation in Barbados. The picture was painted in context of if Barbadians do not do a far better job of following the protocols and also of getting vaccinated. Dr. Ford was speaking to National COVID-19 Public Advisor David Ellis during a live broadcast at the Harrison's Point facility.
We keep on this trajectory, I am telling you. I'm going to say, and it's hard for me to say as a physician, my job is to save lives. But I can't guarantee that I can save every single Barbadian in this country who gets ill. Right? I can't guarantee that we will have enough ventilators if we continue on this trajectory like this to save every single person in this country. Because no country in the globe has done that. They have all ended up in issues with ventilators and oxygen, and we have all of these lovely things. But how well we do will depend on what I've said a million times over. For people standing up, young people, I am begging you today on live TV not to play Russian roulette with your lives.
Noting the island could potentially find itself in a situation where the healthcare system is overwhelmed by unvaccinated patients and possibly reach up to 500 cases a day in a worst-case scenario, he also had a message for those who remain vaccine hesitant.
You don't know or you're uncertain, right, about what will happen about vaccines. I had my queries too, right? But what I can tell you is if you get ill with COVID, right, basically what you're doing, one or two things can happen. You can go fine or things might go badly. And I, as a doctor, I cannot predict which one of these would be you. So I'm asking you today, I'm pleading with you on national TV, on live, wherever this goes, to repeat it over and over to every single person in your household, to your old granny in your household today. I'm asking you on behalf of the staff here, who are basically out to all. We're out to all, right? I'm pleading with you today, right? Not only based on the numbers today, but based on what we're saying right over here in this building. I'm pleading
primary
with you.
isolation.
Yeah, primary isolation. I'm pleading with you. We are of horrible state in this country, potentially, and it's up to you to make the difference.
Amnesty International is charging that 6 top manufacturers of the COVID-19 vaccine are fueling an unprecedented human rights crisis. This is through their refusal to waive intellectual property rights and share vaccine technology.
A report by Amnesty International shows under 1% of people in low-income countries are fully vaccinated. In developed countries, it's 55%. Amnesty says the 6 companies that have led the vaccine rollout have put profits before lives, specifically by refusing to waive intellectual property rights to low-income nations. The report shows Pfizer and BioNTech have delivered 9 times more vaccines to Sweden than to all low-income countries combined. And Moderna has not yet delivered a single vaccine dose to a low-income country.
Police have made a breakthrough in their investigation into the murder of 20-year-old Shay Hackett of Dunlow Lane, St. Michael. The incident occurred on September 6 at St. Paul's Avenue, Bayville. 2 men have been charged with the murder. They are 43-year-old Adrian Ryan Jones of number 53B Enterprise Gardens, Christchurch, and 31-year-old Jamal Omar Anthony Maynard of 21st St. Paul's Avenue, Bayville, St. Michael. The 2 men are expected to appear in the District A Magistrates Court today. And that's a wrap. Over to you, Pearson.
Wendy, thank you. Our time is now 4 minutes. After 7 o'clock, we're going to take a break here, and you know what comes up right after the break, right? The crumbs question of the day. Stand by for that.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So it's 6.5 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Time for today's Crumbs question of the day. That means it's time for you to give me a call on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let's get some callers from other places in the Barbados, other parishes. So are you ready for this? Here comes today's Crumbs question of the day. A simple question, and I know you'll get it right in a snap. The question is, how many Crispies locations are there, and name them? So 2 parts. How many Crispies locations are there? Name them. 228-5562 or 228-5563. This is so simple. It is unbelievable. How many Crispies locations are there? Name them. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, that's great to hear. Where are you watching us from?
St. Philip.
St. Philip, all right. So what's the weather like in St. Philip this morning?
Bright and sunny.
How you know?
Because it here burning me through the window now.
Already so early in the morning, it is so hot.
Yes.
Let me tell you, this heat is something else, isn't it?
It is. It is
Yeah.
fearsome. It's
So what do you
definitely hot.
recommend we need to do so that we can manage this heat better? What do you suggest we do?
All I can tell people is try to stay out of it and try and drink as much water as possible.
Excellent
Don't get
advice.
dehydrated because this heat would pull everything out of you.
So true. Listen, what's your answer for me this morning?
My answer is there are 2 locations, Spikestown and Fairchild Street.
What? Girl, you sure?
Yes, I sure.
You sure there's not one in St. Philip?
It ain't open yet. It ain't open yet. I went there up to yesterday asking how soon I could get some chicken.
And what did they tell you?
They tell me in a couple of weeks.
All right, girl, you're ahead of the curve indeed. I love it. What's your first name?
Melda.
Melda, it is my immense pleasure meeting you. You're such a joyful woman. I love that you've woken up this morning on this brilliant Thursday morning looking at life positively.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
there's a lot about that, you know. Is this the way you are generally?
Yes, I am.
Well, your neighbors must love you, eh? They must
I
really
tell you.
love you. Melda, do you get a chance to go walking up and down the street from time to time?
Sometimes. Sometimes I do a bit.
You need to exercise here, Melda.
I know.
Or you become like me, your bones will seize up, as the old people would say. Melda, you're absolutely right. There are 2 locations, Fairchild Street and in Spikestown indeed. Oh, it is so wonderful talking to you. You hear the people clapping? The whole team is applauding you this morning, Melda. You've done well. You've made us all immensely proud. You're welcome. Just don't put on the phone. You stay right there. Don't put down. We want to get some more information from you. That's Melda. Melda lives in St. Philip and she's absolutely, I told you it's simple. 2 locations, Fairchild Street and Spikestown. Check them out today. Crispy fried chicken and enjoy it. Melda can't wait for Crispy to open very near to where she is as well. That's it for today's Crumbs question of the day. It's now 10 minutes after 7 o'clock. We'll take a break here and then we'll meet some Chevening scholars. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
12.5 minutes now after 7 o'clock, another exceptional young person will join us now all the way from Antigua and Barbuda. That's because she's a Chevening scholar. Her name is Sharifa George. Sharifa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for joining us from Antigua. Congratulations on being a recipient of a Chevening Award.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So talk to me a little bit about what it means for you now to be known as a Chevening scholar.
What it means for me now to be a Chevening scholar means that I am a part of a history of leaders and makers and shakers in Antigua and Barbuda. And I'm very happy to be a part of that because for a few years we've been kind of slow in getting Chevening scholars, but for 2 consecutive years we've been able to have 3 scholars, 3 female scholars, and I'm one of 3 this year. So I'm very proud. I'm excited to represent my country. I'm very excited to be one of the Antiguans at my program at the University of Sussex.
You're part of almost an exclusive club now, girl, Sharifa. So your name is etched in history. So, but you also have a passion, as you said to me, for the development of the private sector in Antigua and Barbuda. Yes. Why? What's that passion about?
The passion is because I've noticed a lot of small businesses with incredible ideas, and I think they're struggling a little bit because they don't have that support. From what I do, because I'm a public relations coordinator, I have to interact with a lot of small businesses for various projects for the organization that I work for. And seeing those businesses, interacting with those businesses, and lending my support where I can has exacerbated my need and desire and urge to help them. So seeing these small businesses coming up even more so because of COVID-19, because there have been drop-offs in terms of job losses and availability. So persons have been reignited to go after their passion. And I want to do my part to help them, especially in the future, where we're going to need that sort of energy and vibrance in the private sector to carry us through to the other side of this pandemic.
And so this scholarship will allow you now to pursue your master's in strategic marketing at the University of Sussex. So is there any particular specialty in pursuit of your strategic marketing that you believe you can use in Antigua to further develop the small and medium-sized enterprises sector there? Sharifa, did you hear me? Sharifa. What a beautiful backdrop she has. Sharifa? It seems that Sharifa can't hear me. Sam, I need your assistance here. So let's see if we can get Sharifa's audio sorted out so she can hear. Sharifa, are you there now?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but I'm sure you probably didn't hear what I asked you. Because you're going off to do your master's in strategic marketing. How do you intend to use that for the small, medium enterprises as in Antigua to be able to really effect the change and the prominence that you think they deserve?
Well, what I will be focusing on is business-to-business marketing. And I think there's an opportunity there because what I've noticed is our small businesses are pretty much preaching to the same choir. Antigua is a very small space, 100,000 in population. And if we're all our small businesses are preaching to the same choir, trying to get sale from the same market, then we're sort of creating a congested market space. So the idea is to introduce a new opportunity by perhaps marketing to other corporate entities, not just locally though, locally, regionally, and internationally, to tap into another revenue stream and ultimately to tap into a new market, which would then in turn benefit our small businesses, stimulate the economy, and also encourage foreign revenue.
Oh, you're so right on that. Where were you the day you got the news, and how did you receive the news that you are now the recipient of a scholarship, a Chevening scholarship?
I was home actually. I was home getting ready for work, and the email popped in. And at this point, with all the research that I've been doing into Chevening, you know, when you see the first few words of an email, what that means. And when I saw "we are delighted," I started to scream. And I screamed and I jumped and I went into the room where my mother was to share the news, but she didn't understand what I was saying with all the excitement. So I was home, I shared that news with my mother immediately. Well, she deciphered eventually what I was trying to say.
Oh, that's beautiful indeed. You're also a part of the Lions Club there in Antigua. What do you do as part of the Lions Club, and how much did that play into your application for the scholarship?
Actually, I recently became an inducted Lion. I was inducted just about 2 months before I found out I was a Chevening scholar. I am a public relations coordinator, and so my contribution to Lions Club is the same. I am a part of the public relations committee, and I'm also assigned to the environment and civics committee. Here's where we do quite a bit of sensitization about the environment, how we can do to reduce our carbon footprint. As a matter of fact, we recently launched a community garden in the heart of St. John's. So that's my contribution, giving back my skills as a public relations professional, as well as bringing attention to a worthy cause.
You know, Sharifa, there are times when people go to school, they've completed secondary school and they figure, that's it, I'm done with studying. But others like yourself go on and you do your degree, that's it, I'm done with studying. But you've moved on now to do your master's. And what advice would you give to young people and young women in particular to not stop learning, but also continue on the journey towards attaining more? What would you say?
I think knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you get, the more doors open for you. The sky is essentially the limit, and education is one of the best steps and the best decisions you can make for your life to continue upward mobility, especially in the corporate world, or even more so if you have an intention of becoming an entrepreneur. Going forward, taking that leap of faith, and most importantly, do not underestimate yourself. Chevening is a prestigious scholarship body, and it can appear intimidating, but do not underestimate yourself. Take that leap of faith, count on yourself, believe in yourself, and go right ahead, because once again, the sky is the limit.
I can see that. I can see your personality as well. There you are. You're what looks to me like an orange shirt, but you're green nail polish. I'm saying to myself, what kind of girl is Sharifa?
Having some fun.
Yes, clearly a very fun girl. So what do you do for fun now, Sharifa?
Right now, I have been driving around to places I have not been in Antigua, believe it or not. I took vacation before I traveled to the UK, so I can relax, unwind before I go into a very rigorous program. So right now, I am driving around to places I haven't been. I am actually crocheting, believe it or not. That's one thing I really like to do.
Yes.
I'm actually crocheting through.
That's good. Listen, so when do you leave, and why did you choose the University of Sussex?
As a matter of fact, I'm leaving tonight. I'm leaving 9:20 tonight. That's my flight. I chose University of Sussex because of the program. I did my research, which is one thing that's fundamental to Chevening. You have to do your research. And when you do that, I chose to go with an accreditation body, which is the Chartered Institute of Marketing. They filter through and vet programs throughout the UK, so I went based on their guide, and I shortlisted a series of universities. And the University of Sussex was right for me because of lecturers they have there. They have lecturers who worked on incredible brands like Volvo, for instance, which is a huge car brand. And they also are doing advanced research on business-to-business marketing, which is, again, my specialty. Well, will be my specialty. So those things, the program, the quality of the lecturers, that was the deciding factor for me at the University of Sussex.
I hope you know that the climate is not the same, and I hope you're prepared for that as well.
I am.
Good. So have you done all of your goodbyes? Have you done that walk around to just ensure that everybody knows that you're leaving and that you won't be accessible by telephone in the same way? All of that. Have you done all of that? Have you finished your packing?
Yes, I started my packing last week, actually. So I'm just doing the final touches today. I did my last visitation. I visited my friends early in the week, and I visited my family yesterday. So right now it's just to get ready to go, relax. Anything I need to do, sample any foods I know I won't be getting for a while. Do that today before I leave.
I hope you're prepared for the tears that will flow from Mummy's eyes when she waves you goodbye at the airport. And I hope that you can handle the tears that will flow from your eyes as well when you say goodbye. You look back and you see you're leaving them. But you know, technology is what it is, and it won't be forever. You'll be back together very, very soon. Sharifa, I wish you the very best going forward. Sharifa George, you are for us one of our exceptional young Caribbean people. Your story is one that would inspire all of us here in Barbados as well. And so we commend you on receipt of your scholarship from Chevening, and we wish you the very best. We hope when you come back that you really make the change that you're hoping to make. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. There she has a bright, beautiful smile. Her name is Sharifa George. She's from Antigua and Barbuda. She's now a Chevening scholar. We'll take a break right here. When we're coming back, we will meet another, this time coming from St. Lucia.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, our next exceptional young person, our next scholar hails from the Helen of the West, St. Lucia. His name is Yver Caesar. Good morning to you, Yver.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Coffee is your go-to in the morning?
Yes, definitely. Every morning I try to have some coffee with some honey. Sadly, we are experiencing a bit of a honey shortage, so I have resorted to sugar, but I normally opt for honey.
So you're not into sugar, the sweetness of sugar?
No, I'm definitely into it. That's why I try to stay away from it when I can.
Fair enough. You are now, Yver, a Chevening scholar. Congratulations on that, first of all. But most of all, I want to hear from you what happened the day you got the news.
Oh, thank you. The day I got the news, well, actually, I had been waiting for a while. The results, I think, were just a bit delayed this year. So from about early June, every day we were kind of checking our emails. And eventually I just got tired. So one day, the day before, I think they started releasing in other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the following morning, my phone was vibrating. People were saying, the results are out and whatnot. I was sleeping. I woke up. I checked the email. I got it, and honestly, I just went back to bed.
It was like, oh well, thanks, that's it, I'm going back to bed. But clearly you would have told a number of people that you had submitted an application for the scholarship. So why did you choose to communicate it? Why didn't you just let it happen and then surprise them?
No, honestly, I kept it just amongst my immediate circle. I don't even think I told my mom I had applied. Maybe just a handful, 3, 4 max. And then when I actually got it, I still waited a while before I told anyone. I informed my office first.
Yes.
Because I figured I would have to take study leave and whatnot. And then when we got our final award letters, that's when I actually put it out there.
All right. How old are you now, Yver?
How old do I look?
No. Don't ask me that. I'll get it wrong. So how old are you?
I turned 27 earlier this year, April 28th.
I asked that for a reason. Congratulations, by the way, because you are already serving as a Foreign Service Officer in the St. Lucia Ministry of External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation and Diaspora Affairs. You hold a Bachelor's in International Relations, Special Public Sector Management minor, and a Master's in Tourism Development and Management at 27 years old. You've done all of that and you've done so much. That tells a lot about who you are and how driven you are. How unusual is that really among young people in St. Lucia?
Thank you. I wouldn't really say it's unusual. I think we have a very wide variety of skill sets. So education has always been my go-to from an early age. from a toddler, probably from a toddler in primary school. I remember being teased a lot for various reasons, for like maybe my dress and deportment, because I came from very humble beginnings, and I always found my refuge in education. I was like, listen, you might have a brighter should than I do, but I'm always gonna come first in class, and I kind of just built myself that way. And growing up, I just really ignited the passion. But even if many persons may not find a tertiary education as their way, their passion, I think when we look at the arts, the culture, a lot of entrepreneurs, the person who did my hair, brilliant. I would say that St. Lucia is full of young people in general that are really the best at what they do, probably ranking amongst the best in the world, especially if given the opportunity.
I like the fact that you said you've come from humble beginnings, and in spite of the fact that that's where you're from, you haven't divorced yourself from it, but you use it as a catalyst to prove to the rest of the world that you are as good as. And so there you are, rising now as a Chevening scholar. I love that story in itself alone. What are you going on to do with your scholarship?
I am going to pursue MSc in Development Studies at the London School of Economics and Political Science.
Development Studies, what does that mean?
So it's in the School of International Development, so it fits right in with my career as a Foreign Service Officer. I plan to find my niche in poverty reduction. So I'll be taking courses such as poverty. We take a multifaceted approach, examining the causes of poverty and how to mitigate against some of these factors. I'll be taking such as the informal economy and development. So examining the role, for example, when I go by the market and buy my fish, and you negotiate the price with the fisherman to clean it, whether $10 or $5, either way, he's probably not going to be taxed on it. How does that now tie into the grand scheme of things, the country's economic development and whatnot? Courses such as world poverty and human rights.
I'm hearing
there
the
was
word.
one more that's skipping me right now.
That's all right.
It's states and markets. Yeah, states and markets. Yeah, so.
I'm hearing the word poverty all the time popping up in everything that you're doing. You want to effect change to the status of people who find themselves impoverished. What about you drives you in that direction?
I think when I examine my country, we experience economic growth, for example, and I think that sometimes, and even I've started doing some of my readings, and you realize that they say numbers don't lie, but they kind of control the truth the way they want to. So your economic growth could really be rising, but if the average person on the street is not really feeling it, what good is it if the trickle down effect is not grand? And I think that there are a lot of people who they're not able to achieve the things, for example, education, because of the background or where they came from. And I just want a society, especially later on, I plan to probably go into government and whatnot, a society where anyone who wants access to education can get access to education. It's a matter of whether you want to or not, but you not being able to afford it, I think, should not be a factor that hinders you from furthering yourself.
Agree. What do your friends say about you? Because you're here at 27 years old, almost a brainiac. You're just so focused on all of these big people things. So what do your friends say about you?
My friends, honestly, they always tell me, hurry up, run for the constituency, run a seat, enter politics. And I always tell them, it's about a win, it's about timing. You kind of just jump in hot and sweaty. It's all about strategy.
Yes.
When's the right time? What's the right time to do?
Is it really?
That's what the conversation is normally about.
Is it really a serious consideration of yours, though, to enter elective politics?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think ever since I did my first youth parliament at 16, anytime I enter a room, persons ask, "What do you want to do? Or, why are you studying all these things? What's your end goal?" And I'm like, "Oh well, I want to be the prime minister." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, I don't want to be the prime minister tomorrow, but the end goal is that. Whether it takes me 10 years, 40 years, 60 years, everything I do is strategically placing myself. But it takes time. You have to learn, discover yourself, so that you're going for the right reasons, not just to say, well, yeah, I did it at this age or whatever. It's understanding, yeah, I can do it now on my terms at this point. If I do it now, maybe I can't do it on my terms.
So which political figures, either in St. Lucia or even across the Caribbean, inspire you?
Good question. My decision to actually choose the London School of Economics and Political Science was largely influenced by the number of leaders from the Caribbean who attended. I mean, Barbados' very own Honorable Mia Motley ranks amongst the top of the list. Leaders, Sir Arthur Lewis, I'd call myself an Advent disciple of his teachings, and he posits that the fundamental cure for poverty is education, and you see how it stems back in, and as St. Lucia's Nobel laureate in economics is something that to be able to walk the same hollow walls that he would have walked at the London School of Economics, to me that's a big deal. But we talk about Manly, and even in Jamaica also, from the other political ideology, we have the Honorable Kamina Johnson. She attended LSE as well, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. She's another person that I look up to. So it's on both sides of the political spectrum. You could find persons that would have went to LSE and would also be influencing my decision. And even in St. Lucia, recently we had an election and Philip J. Pierre won, and through conversations with him, you could tell, he, really humble person. He's been with his constituency for the last 25 years, since 1997. So these are persons you could definitely learn from.
Right. Now you're heading to the London School of Economics and Political Science. And when do you leave St. Lucia for London?
I actually leave tonight.
You are leaving tonight as well. So have you done all of your goodbyes? Have you done your farewell party? Have you packed every single thing you need to pack?
I've packed. I didn't do any party because we're not supposed to have any social gatherings because of the COVID. But I've finished packing here.
Good.
For the most part.
That's fantastic. So we wish you only the very best. I hope that we know you're going to do very, very well. Yver, it's a very unusual name. Yver Caesar indeed. And so congratulations on receiving the Chevening Scholarship. But we wanted to recognize you today as one of our exceptional young Caribbean people whose work is going to redound to the benefit of all of us in the region, not just St. Lucia, something tells me. And so we want to wish you the very best on your next journey, sir, and hope that you are the success we believe you to be. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Morning Barbados will continue right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, our next exceptional young person hails from the Spice Isle of Grenada. Her name is Aria Redhead. Good morning to you, Aria.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations on receiving your Chevening Scholarship. How does that feel to you to know you're among a select few who are Chevening scholars?
Well, thank you for having me. It feels amazing. I feel very blessed. I've been chosen, and I'm very excited to start my journey in the UK.
When do you start your journey to the UK?
Well, I actually leave on Monday.
On Monday. You heard the ones before you, they're leaving tonight.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you're all excited about leaving on Monday. All the packing done. You're doing your tidying up to make sure all of your businesses are together. And so the next journey starts. So why are you going off to study your Masters of Laws in Drafting Legislation, Regulation and Policy at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies?
Well, I chose this course of study because it aligns perfectly with my current and continuing profession as a legal drafter within the Attorney General's chambers here in Grenada. And the course itself is one of a kind, and it is the only legislative drafting course offered in the entire United Kingdom. And the program director herself, she is well renowned for her academic literature on legislative drafting. So many of the textbooks that I would have used to assist me in practice, her name is actually there as author. So I'm very familiar with the name. So when I saw that she was the program director, I was very excited.
Yes.
And I believe that under her tutelage, the course will allow me to develop my proficiency as a legislative drafter and really equip me with the skills and the tools that I need to improve my country's current legal system through the application of best international drafting practices and modern techniques.
A lot of us don't have a clue what it is when it comes to drafting legislation, drafting laws. Walk us through briefly, because I'm sure it's very technical, walk us through what it takes to draft legislation.
Okay, well, drafting legislation is a very rigorous process. I know many persons looking in from the outside tend to think that it's a fairly easy choice within the legal profession, but that's actually not true. It requires a lot of precision, a lot of reworking, redrafting. It really starts off with getting clear instructions from Cabinet. Cabinet would form their policy. They would tell me what it is they want. And then I now have to transform that policy into law. So I'm really the catalyst that bridges that gap between policy and actual law. Oftentimes, I have to advise Cabinet as well, because sometimes what they might think is the best approach, it might not actually work well from a legal perspective. So I always have to come back with alternative options. Then I would start with my first draft, then of course send it for consultation, get feedback, rework it. There's a second draft. Sometimes I can end up having as many as 6 drafts before it is finalized. So it's a very long process.
Yes.
And then of course, once it's approved, it gets published in our Gazette as law.
I'm watching you and can see you're a very young person still, which is a good thing. You know, you have a lot of life still ahead of you, but you're also a lecturer at the T.A. Marishaw Community College, and you've published a series of law textbooks at such a young age. So talk to me about why you're so passionate about what you do, so much so that you want to lecture and publish.
The lecturing, for me, the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because through my academic experiences, I would have realized how much of an impact an exceptional lecturer or teacher would have on a student. As a matter of fact, my choice to pursue legislative drafting as a career was inspired by one of my lecturers at Chevening Law School. She was so exceptional at what she did. She encouraged me, and she gave me a better insight into what kind of career I can have as a legislative drafter. And because I've had so many amazing teachers and lecturers, all the way from primary school up to present day, who would have had such a tremendous impact on my life and the course of my life, I felt that it was very necessary for me to also utilize my platform to assist others in the same way. So my students, I'm always encouraging them the same way my teachers would have encouraged me, and just helping them to realize, you know, what it is they want in life, what their career goals might look like. So it's almost coming full circle. The inspiration that I received from my teachers and lecturers, I want to now give it back to students. And I think as a lecturer, that is the best way.
You've just said to me also that drafting could be quite time consuming. There's a lot of law you have to read so you get it all right, and sometimes it can go many times iterations before it's actually reaching the final stage. But yet still you're able to fit within all of your schedule time for lecturing and time for mentoring and time for helping others as well, and publishing as well. Let's talk about balancing your priorities so that you are able to hit the mark each time. How is that for you?
Well, time management has always been one of my strong skills. So throughout school, I was always great at managing my time when it came to studying, submitting assignments on time. And so once I entered the working world, it was no different. Yes, it became more difficult because there were a lot of challenges that I, couldn't foresee. So every day is a new day, new challenges that you don't expect. So you can't exactly always plan ahead within the profession. But time management has definitely helped me a lot. Once I stick to my schedule, I'm able to get everything done on time and efficiently, and even have time left over to do the things I enjoy.
Wow, that's such a lesson.
I do make some free time.
That's such a lesson for all of us. We think we have time, but you manage yours far better than most of us do. When you made the application for the Chevening scholarship, were you confident you'd be successful?
At times I was confident, but then in the back of my mind, I was like, when I saw the number of applicants, I think it was something like 62,000 from across the world. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of persons applying. So in the back of my mind, there was a little doubt, but I was still confident. I knew what skills I had, what experience I had, what I was bringing to the table. And I believed I was a strong candidate, and I was correct. So it worked well in the long run.
So when that morning when the email popped in, it didn't surprise you, what you heard? It didn't surprise you at all?
It didn't surprise me. I was very excited, but I wasn't too surprised.
Who was the first person you told that you had received the Chevening scholarship?
I told my mother, of course.
What did Mommy say when she got the big news?
Well, she was so excited. She probably had even more confidence than I did that I was going to get it, because she was like, I'm not surprised at all. But she was very excited, very happy. Told the rest of my family, my friends, of course, I let them know, and they all had the same thing to say. Well, of course, what did you expect? You were going to get it. So I was happy that, they had that much confidence in me.
How many other Grenadians do you know who are recipients of Chevening scholarships? Are there many? And obviously because you're now part of a select group.
Well, this year I'm the only one. However, I am quite familiar with a few of the Chevening alumni from Grenada. In fact, it is a Chevening alumnus herself that encouraged me to apply in the first place. She is a magistrate currently, and she came into my office and she said, listen, you need to apply for this scholarship. Applications are open. I'm not taking no for an answer. This is what you need to do. Get it done. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's when I started doing my research into what Chevening is all about. And I realized, yes, this sounds like it is for me.
You dare not say no to the magistrate. I know. That's what happens at times. Magistrate speaks. You better do it. Listen, we got to leave it there. Aria, we are so pleased to have met you this morning. Aria Redhead from Grenada, one of our exceptional young people across the region. And so drafting is your specialty. We know that when you come back, you will guide us as a people of the region. I hope you're able to lend your skills eventually to not just Grenada, but to the wider, through CARICOM, to the wider region, as we can all achieve more and achieve it better through your experience as well. Aria, thank you for joining us. All the best when you leave Grenada, off to London, and we're looking forward to your return and your expertise as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. My pleasure as well. Aria Redhead from Grenada, a Chevening scholar. A break. When we come back, there's one more to introduce you to. So we're 11 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock this Thursday morning. Just want to remind you that this week, all week long, we have been focusing on the International Week of Deaf People. And so this morning, for today, Thursday, remember, we sign for human rights. So it's important that we learn the language of sign language. Really, the language is a language. And so there's the I on the Y. They're offering some classes in sign languages as well. So you need to be able to sign up very soon and be engaged in learning sign language. Why? Because the lack of access to communication, education, employment, and equal pay results in no right of choice or chance for equitable opportunity for the deaf. The deaf have a right to a decent quality of life. That's so critical. You see them, we know them, and don't hide them, because they need to be able to have access to communication, education, employment, and equal pay. Because we want to create a more equitable society, opportunities for the deaf, they have a right to decent quality of life. And for those of you with children who are deaf, it is important that you engage them, find the organization, find the avenues where they can engage in very meaningful ways. So all week long, we remind you of that. Check I on the Y, check the YMCA for opportunities for you to learn sign language. The classes are there, and certainly the team there will be happy to help you and navigate that path as well. So I encourage you, with those of you with people who are deaf, if you're deaf yourself, I know you got here, but somebody's going to tell you about it. And it's important for all of us as well to be able to learn sign language, because we will be able to communicate better with people who are deaf. And it's also important too to have someone in your respective organizations who will have the facility to understand sign language and to sign as well. That's so important. You would see here on TV8 when we do the news night, Bonnie is the one who tells you the news for those who are deaf, and certainly we see the value of that in being able to include them in our society as well. Inclusivity is critical. There are some very exciting and exceptional young people who are doing some great things across Barbados and great things across our region, and your encouragement, your support of them is also going to be absolutely vital. Oftentimes we sit, we watch, and we find reasons to criticize. Today and every Thursday, we want to find reasons to celebrate their achievement as well, because there are, in the vast majority, the number of young people who are doing great things across this island, across this Caribbean. So let's not become so hoodwinked by only seeing the stories of those who pop up from time to time in our pages of the newspaper and we frown. But let's celebrate those who don't pop up in our newspaper, but they are there. We see them every day, whether they're dressed in their school uniforms, dressed in their shirts and ties, dressed in their business wear, really, heading out to do productive things in our society, and every day doing it very, very well. So we want to celebrate them as well, whether it is through education or through just dint of hard work. The Pastor Delight lady who we met this morning had a love for pasta, and so her focus while at Graydon Sealy, well at Garrison Secondary, was food and nutrition, following on the skirts of her grandmother. And so she learned how to cook pasta, and now she operates her own business. It just goes to show each of us has a skill, each of us has a passion, and each of us needs the opportunity to pursue that passion, not to be blindsided by other objectives. So let's support our young people today as they make their lifelong decisions to be able to do so. And so I want to encourage you to lend your support to that as well. Education is a pathway. The young man from St. Lucia reminded us of that, how one can see through poverty, education can make a difference. It is so important. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to sit in the classroom and just be schooled and everything, but let's make education practical as well. Because from his story as well, he said he came from very humble beginnings, but he knew the value of focusing and being able to pay attention through school to be able to better himself, better those around him. And so he wants to be the Prime Minister. Lofty goals, we applaud him for that, but that's his passion, that's what he wants to go after, and so we encourage him for that as well. A young lady from Trinidad who we met today, who looked over her hill behind her backyard, and she saw that there was huge deforestation, so she wanted to volunteer to be a part of the reforestation effort. And so her passion was groomed for the climate change and looking at the environment in general. And so there are things around us that we can do. There are things around us that we can encourage young people engaging in as well. Let's allow them to be part of the give back. And so I want to encourage all of you to look at our young people and celebrate who they are, the goodness of who they are. They come in all ages as well. Now, we know UNCTAD is just a matter of days away. Today is the 23rd of the month. UNCTAD starts globally on the 3rd of October, but all until the 24th, until tomorrow, there is a civil society forum from inequality and vulnerability to prosperity for all. You're encouraged to participate by going to untad15.org. All right, we just have 5.5 minutes to connect with this next Chevening scholar coming from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Julana Peterson, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. I'm so glad we got all that technical bit sorted out now so we can spend a little bit of time. We don't have a lot of time, but congratulations on being a Chevening scholar. What does it mean to you?
Thank you. It means triumph and persistency and resilience and prayer works. That's what it means.
And that's what you guys have been going through in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in recent times. Anyway, you've had to be resilient and be persistent. And so now today, you want to be able to go on to further your studies in developmental disorders. That sounds almost contradictory. So could you tell me what that is about briefly?
Okay, so developmental disorders is a field in psychology, particularly in lifespan, educational, child, and clinical psychology. So my past working experience, paid working experience, is in education. I was a teacher's aide, I was a tutor, and a lot of my voluntary experience is in youth development. So this was technically the best bet for me.
So when you finish your studies as a master's in developmental disorders at Lancaster University in the UK, what do you want to do when you come back to St. Vincent?
Well, I definitely want to continue in my business. I have a business that sells educational resources and tools and services. So I plan to expand that to reach a lot more people in St. Vincent, especially the children in the education system. I plan to not only use that avenue, but also being a member of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Cadet Force. I plan to do teaching workshops, parenting workshops, to help parents and teachers see the issues that they may not know about that are prevalent in the children in today, and help them to be able to understand the children better in their learning, in their educational career.
How great a need is that in St. Vincent for your services?
It is extremely needed, extremely. We have our education revolution, as you know, it's been going well. But we have seen a lot of children that fall through the cracks, like I like to say, those that maybe are not learning at the same pace as others, and those are the children that I like to focus on, because those are the ones that obviously aren't seen as much, and we have quite a bit of them in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as we like to say, the children are the future, so we have to make sure that they're prepared to lead us.
Absolutely. I love what you believe as well. You said from Winston Churchill, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And so a lot of what you believe is wrapped up in your studies of developmental disorders as well. That all of that is also part of your developmental disorders study. So when do you leave for the UK to complete your studies?
I actually leave in the morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes, please, Friday morning.
Oh my gospel. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I've been trying to pack since 3 weeks ago, just in case, whenever, so I wouldn't forget anything. So I literally can leave in the next 2 minutes. I have been, okay, go ahead. Yes, I've been telling my loved ones, see you later, because I kind of don't believe in goodbyes. So see you later and so forth. Technology is top notch, so we would be able to see each other and keep in contact.
We say that now, we're bold enough to think, I'm going to handle this until the plane revs up and it heads down the runway and our heart sinks because we're leaving our loved ones behind. I hope you're ready for that emotional journey too.
I'm trying.
We're going to make you cry at the airport today, overnight for sure. Julana, it's our pleasure to meet you this morning. I'm so sorry we had such little time, but I'm glad I'm still able to connect with you today from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You are for us one of our exceptional young people from us here in Barbados as well. And so we want to commend you on your journey in your studies as well at Lancaster University. Only the very best for you, Julana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. And so with that, we've come to the end today of Morning Barbados. We do look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thank you for spending the time with us. Good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.